Welcome to the Lilly Roddy Show, coming to you from the LRS studios here in Houston, Texas. So glad to have you with me on this hot summer day for the week of July 13th through July 19th, 2014. Finally, the planets are beginning to speed up, and we're not in that same delay pattern that we have been in since December 2013 and really lasting through July 7th of 2014. This week in particular, on July 16th, Jupiter, planet of travel, education, sociology, expansion, and optimism, enters Leo for the next year time period. Jupiter will have its strongest positive impact on those born with the Sun or Moon or other planets in Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, or Taurus. These folks will find that they are busier than usual this upcoming year, and they will want to expand some area of their life, either career, relationship, their home territory, or themselves. Also this week, Friday and Saturday, the 18th and the 19th, could be days when we have a lot of energy but not a lot of patience. This could be an especially strong later in the evening on Friday and early Saturday morning. If you would like to contact me here, you can always leave a comment on my YouTube channel. Please subscribe, or you can contact me at Lillyroddyshow at AOL.com, Lillyroddyshow.com, or on Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest. Well, let's take a look at next week's planetary forecast, starting with Sunday, July 13th. On that day, the moon resides in socially just Aquarius all day. Very early in the morning, Venus trines Mars at 3:22 a.m. This is a beneficial combination of our desire nature and our ability to go out and get what we want. This is a very good energy for negotiations, working toward finding solutions to relationship problems, or just simply justifying what you think is important. This can be an excellent day to put forth new ideas in a way in which people are much more receptive to what you're selling. This aspect, Venus trine Mars, is in effect all day. Although the moon is not void of course, it does not make any aspects throughout the day. Usually, when this occurs, we may seem lazy or not as focused as we would like to be. Keep your agenda light and flexible, and only surround yourself with people that you like. Monday, July 14th. The moon journeys through area Aquarius as our day begins. However, she will become void of course in the early afternoon and remain so until she changes signs late in the evening. So our aspects are early in the morning. The moon sextiles Uranus at 12:07 a.m. This is a strong, mentally stimulating transit and is favorable energy for problem solving, working within your community. It's not an aspect that's particularly conducive to sleep, so this may keep you up later than you would like. Just a little bit later, the moon squares Saturn at 12:26 a.m. If you're awake, you may be fretting about financial concerns or career plans for your future. And finally, a little bit after noon, the moon trines Mars at 12:37 p.m. This is a good afternoon to get away from the routines of the day. Do something different for your lunchtime. We feel confident, strong, and socially connected this early afternoon. The moon will later trine Venus at 2:23 p.m. Our positive energy continues through the afternoon as our relationship skills improve throughout the afternoon. This is an opportune time for negotiating or dealing with people in any type of relationship on a business or personal level. But as with the earlier aspect, we tend to be a little bit more laid back and relaxed. After 2:23 p.m., the moon does go void of course until 9:40 p.m. when the moon enters creative Pisces. This is not really a long void of course moon. Take some time to be more centered and look for the later evening to be a time of decision making or resolution. And finally, the moon does enter melancholy Pisces at 9:40 p.m. On Tuesday, July 15th, the moon transits highly imaginative Pisces for the entire day. The moon trines Mercury at 1:07 a.m. very early in the morning. This energy allows us to be more analytical about our emotional state. This is an ideal energy for writing or blogging. And finally, in the morning, the moon conjuncts Neptune at 9:25 a.m. Energy-wise, we'll need some time to ourselves or some time to retreat from the stress of everyday living. This energy is perfect for connecting with our deeper self, taking art or yoga classes, or taking a mental health day from work. On this day, personally, each of us will be in our own little world during this Moon-Neptune conjunction. Finally, in the evening or late afternoon, the moon sextiles Pluto at 5:08 p.m. We are much more into the natural rhythm of the day, and we're getting things done on our agenda list. With this aspect, it's much easier to clear away the muck that is gathered during the day. Excuse me. Wednesday, July 16th. The moon spends most of the day in cause-oriented Pisces. However, she will become a void of course around sunset and remain so until she changes signs very late tonight. Our first aspect up is the moon trines Saturn at 12:48 a.m. If you're awake, this is a good time to be organizing and planning ahead, or just getting yourself ready for the next day. And on the 16th, Jupiter, planet of growth, expansion, and travel, enters the sign of Leo at 5:30 a.m. Jupiter will transit Leo for approximately the next year. The fixed signs, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Taurus, will profit from Jupiter's benefic nature. Jupiter tends to give us a more positive and optimistic outlook as she travels through our natal chart, making contact with our planets. Overall, all of us will feel more optimistic and hopeful about the future with Jupiter moving through Leo. A little bit later in the afternoon, the moon trines the sun at 1:14 p.m. This afternoon is best spent having a long lunch with either friends or with clients. We will be in a much more relaxed and easygoing mood during this whole afternoon. If you're working during this time, you're going to find that people are more receptive. In the evening, the moon squares Venus at 7:57 p.m. This transit signifies time to indulge yourself in whatever things you like best. Junk food and comfort food often taste best during this aspect. Romance can be favored under this aspect as long as you are the center of attention. The moon does go void of course in Pisces at 7:57 p.m. until 11:07 p.m. when the moon enters Aries, the sign of the warrior. When this happens, we'll get a burst of energy in the latter part of the evening. And finally, our last aspect for the day, the moon trines Jupiter at 11:24 p.m. We're very open mentally and emotionally to new ideas and perceptions about our world and how we fit in. It's a fun time to be with friends or someone special. Thursday, July 17th. The moon occupies the sign of Aries, the self-starter, for the entire day. We only have two aspects, one in the morning and one in the evening. The moon squares Mercury at 7:26 a.m. We're ready to get our day started early. Be careful not to go too fast, as you may skip over some of the details. You should find this a great time to share jokes or humorous stories. And in the evening, the moon squares Pluto at 7:39 p.m. We're taking a very close look at the way we conduct our lives this evening. This can be a time of very strong emotions, but can also be a time of strong emotional clearing. We may just want to be alone with our thoughts. Friday, July 18th. The moon spends all day moving through self-serving Aries. She will turn void, of course, after sunset. Our first aspect early in the morning, the moon conjuncts Uranus at 3:37 a.m. Because this aspect occurs early in the morning, this may make us feel restless or just simply cause us not to have a very restful sleep. If you're awake, this is a beneficial time to be innovative, stepping outside of the box and throwing the box away and totally starting over. If you're trying to sleep, you may toss and turn. Later in the morning, Venus enters Cancer, the sign of home and family, at 9:06 a.m. With Venus, our focus turns to family relationships, making our nest more comfortable and beautiful, and planning for our long-term future financial security. Venus will be in Cancer for about the next 23 days. In the evening, the moon squares the sun at 9:08 p.m. In the latter part of the evening, we're much more active and may even be restless and bored. We will desire some distractions for the evening. And not much long after that, the moon opposes Mars at 9:18 p.m. Along with the previous aspect, we are definitely feeling more energized and ready for an adventure. This can be a great night for sports activities, working on a late night project, a fun romp in the bedroom, or throwing sticks and stones at people. Our emotions are right there for everyone to see. Choose your battles carefully. Now, the moon does go void, of course, at 9:18 p.m. until Sunday morning at 3:43 a.m. when the moon enters passionate Taurus. And finally, Saturday, July 19th. The day begins with the moon void, of course, in Aries, the sign of the trailblazer. However, she will enter Taurus in the very early morning hours. Mercury trines Neptune at 12:37 a.m. Now, this aspect increases our social consciousness toward being a more compassionate human being. This energy can make us very imaginative and very creative. This is not only about art or poetry, but also the way in which we live and how we represent the art of our own inner life. Generally, with the energy of this transit, our communication and psychic skills blend easily, and we're able to respond to things in a much more natural and subtle way. With this aspect affecting us from the day before as well as today, this allows us to take life at a much more relaxed pace. And now for a totally opposite energy. The sun squares Mars at 1:32 a.m. Now, the energy of this aspect is certainly focused on one's ego identity and the protection of who we are. This energy heightens our natural animal defense mechanisms and may make us feel more fearful or ready to respond to any attacks, perceived or not. With this aspect, we're going to take life so much more personally, even if someone tries to make us believe it's not personal, it's just business. Since this energy has also been influencing us since yesterday and has continued into today, this can make us very restless, bored, competitive, extremely angry about circumstances or events in our life. And with these two aspects, Mercury, Neptune, and Sun Mars occurring right in a row and not having a very similar expression of energy, this can make us feel very out of sorts and not really clear about the most advantageous way to respond. In a positive version of this, we'll be clear about what our needs are, we'll find a way to communicate so that others will be supporting us instead of blocking us. Or we can demand what we want, justify whatever actions we take, and play the role of the victim no matter if our actions hurt others. Although both of these aspects are reaching their peak early in the morning, both of these aspects have been influencing us since yesterday and will continue throughout today. Finally, the moon enters the sign of Taurus the Bull at 3:43 a.m. and the moon is no longer void of course. The moon squares Jupiter at 4:54 a.m. If you're up early, this is a time for a nice gesture like bringing donuts and pastries for everyone in the office. We feel more optimistic, but only about the things that really interest us. The moon sextiles Venus at 5:34 a.m. We continue to take a slow and relaxed pace as our day begins. Our thoughts turn to our home and family this morning, and we'll want to make improvements in both areas. A lot of aspects for early in the morning. And finally, the moon sextiles Neptune at 4:49 p.m. We finally get an evening aspect. We're much less tense and not feeling the push of the day as much as we had because of this nice connection with Neptune. As long as you are working on something that really interests you, this can be a very productive and rewarding time. And finally, the last aspect for Saturday, the moon sextiles Mercury at 6:52 p.m. It's a perfect evening for meeting with clients, spending time with friends, going to a movie, or just taking a drive. Well, this is the outlook for next week. I hope my forecast helps you to avoid some of the bumps in the roads. And join me next week, July 20th through the 26th, as I talk about Saturn going direct. Thank you for inviting me into your lives so I can share some of my astrology with you. This is the Lilly Roddy Show, reminding you to keep those stars in your eyes. Bye-bye. See you next week.